Welcome to RankLens. Today, we count down the top 10 most daring prison breaks. Concrete walls, razor wire, armed towers, and yet some prisoners have walked, tunneled, or even flown straight past every defense ever built. Tonight, we count down the 10 most daring prison breaks in history. Escapes so audacious they rewrote the rulebook on incarceration. From hand-carved wooden guns to mile-long engineered tunnels, from rowboats to helicopters, each of these breakouts pushed the limits of what was thought possible behind bars. Stay with us as we descend toward number 1, the escape that has never truly been solved. At number 10, Billy Hayes' 1975 escape from Amrali. It earns this spot for sheer desperation, a lone rower against the sea. Though its execution lacked the engineering of higher ranks, Billy Hayes was a young American serving a brutal sentence in Turkey after being jailed for attempting to smuggle hashish. When he was transferred to the Amrali Island prison in the Sea of Marmara, his options narrowed to 1. The water. On a stormy night, he stole a dinghy and rowed for his life, eventually crossing into Greece and freedom. His incredible journey didn't end at the shore. Hayes later wrote a memoir of his ordeal, which Hollywood turned into the Oscar-winning film Midnight Express, immortalizing one of the most unforgettable escapes of the modern era. At number 9, John Dillinger's 1934 Crown Point breakout. It ranks here for pure audacity, bluffing armed guards with a toy, though Dillinger walked rather than engineered his way out. The jail had been publicly billed as completely escape-proof, a boast made by officials confident their concrete and steel could hold America's most wanted bank robber. Dillinger had other plans. Using nothing more than a block of wood carved into the shape of a pistol and blackened with shoe polish, he bluffed his way past armed guards and walked straight through the front doors. Then came the kicker. Dillinger climbed into the sheriff's own car and drove off, deepening a national embarrassment that newspapers would mock for weeks. It remains one of the cheekiest jailbreaks ever pulled in American history. At number 8, the Texas 7 escape of 2000. It earns this rank for meticulous planning and overwhelming force, though its bloody aftermath drags it down the list. On a December morning, 7 inmates overpowered guards at the John B. Connally unit in Texas, in a coordinated takedown that unfolded like clockwork. They stripped their victims of uniforms, seized weapons from the prison armory, and commandeered a prison maintenance truck, rolling out the gates in broad daylight without raising a single alarm. For weeks, they stayed ahead of one of the largest manhunts in Texas history. But the escape took a tragic turn on Christmas Eve when the fugitives killed a police officer during a robbery at a sporting goods store. That killing transformed clever escapees into one of America's most wanted gangs. At number 7, El Chapo's first great escape from Puente Grande in 2001. It lands here because the breakout relied less on engineering than on the raw power of bribery, though the cleanliness of its execution earns it a high spot. Joaquin Guzman, the most powerful drug lord in Mexico, had bought loyalty across nearly every level of the prison hierarchy. When the moment came, he simply rolled out of Puente Grande, hidden inside a laundry cart, wheeled past complicit guards as if he were nothing more than dirty linen. The fallout was enormous. Dozens of prison staff were later charged with aiding the breakout, exposing the rot inside Mexico's penal system. The escape humiliated Mexico's freshly elected federal government and signaled to the world that El Chapo was untouchable. At number 6, the Libby Prison escape of 1864. Proof that daring is not a modern invention. It earns this rank for sheer scale, even if its success rate fell short of perfection. During the depths of the American Civil War, Union officers tunneled out of Richmond's Libby Prison through a hand-dug shaft carved beneath the floors. In total, 109 Union officers slipped out through that secret passage, the largest Union prisoner of war escape on record. To reach their tunnel, they had to crawl through a rat-infested cellar they bitterly nicknamed Rat Hell, enduring filth, disease, and total darkness for weeks of secret excavation. When the tunnel finally broke open beyond the prison walls, the men ran for Union limes. 59 of them made it home, a feat dug entirely by hand under enemy guns. At number 5, Pascal Payet's helicopter heist of 2007. It ranks here because few escapes are more cinematic. Yet helicopter lifts depend more on outside muscle than inmate ingenuity. Payet was already a legend in the French underworld when his crew launched their boldest operation yet. A commando team hijacked a civilian helicopter, forcing the pilot at gunpoint to fly straight toward Grasse prison in southern France. Armed accomplices forced the pilot to land directly on the prison roof, where Payet was plucked from Grasse in minutes and whisked away before guards could react. What makes this escape especially remarkable is that it was the French gangster's third successful helicopter-aided escape, a hat trick of airborne breakouts no other prisoner has matched. Payet had turned the French penal system into his personal helipad. At number 4, the Great Escape from Stalag Luft 3 in 1944, the most legendary breakout of the Second World War. It earns this rank for breathtaking engineering and bravery, though the human cost weighs heavily on its legacy. Inside the Nazi POW camp, Allied POWs dug 3 deep tunnels named Tom, Dick, and Harry, working for months in cramped, suffocating shafts shored up with bunk slats and hidden under the noses of German guards. When the night of the breakout came, 76 men crawled out and slipped into the forests of occupied Poland. The breakout from Stalag Luft 3 stunned the German high command, but the cost was devastating. Only 3 escapees reached freedom. 50 were executed by the Gestapo, a war crime that turned a triumph into a tragedy. At number 3, the Maze prison escape of 1983. A breakout so massive it rewrote European history. It ranks here for record-shattering scale and bold execution, narrowly outdone only by what comes next. Inside Northern Ireland's notorious H-blocks, 38 IRA inmates launched one of the most coordinated prison breaks ever attempted. Escapees hijacked a kitchen food lorry from inside the facility, used it to crash through the gates, and scattered into the northern Irish countryside in a chaos of gunfire and confusion. Decades on, it remains the largest prison escape in British and European history, a feat no breakout on the continent has come close to matching. The maze had been built to be impenetrable, holding paramilitary prisoners under the tightest security in the United Kingdom. In a single afternoon, 38 men proved otherwise. At number 2, El Chapo's Altipl escape of 2015, the most engineered prison break in history. It earns this rank for jaw-dropping technical sophistication, falling just short of the top only because it didn't end in lasting freedom. Altipl was considered Mexico's most secure maximum security prison, holding the country's most dangerous criminals under constant surveillance. None of that mattered. El Chapo fled Altipl through a mile-long tunnel dug under his shower, secretly carved deep into the earth, complete with lighting, ventilation, and a modified motorcycle running on rails. When guards lost sight of him on cameras, he simply stepped into the shower, dropped through a hidden hatch, and vanished. It was the kind of engineering you'd expect from a heist film, not from inside a maximum security prison. And at number 1, the 1962 Alcatraz escape, the only prison break to truly defeat the system. It takes the top spot because it combined audacity, difficulty, and clean execution in a way no other escape has matched. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers chipped through their cell walls with sharpened spoons, working for months in silence, hiding the holes behind painted cardboard panels. On the night of the escape, they left papier-mâché dummy heads in their beds to fool guards, buying them precious hours of unbroken darkness. They built a raft from stitched-together raincoats and pushed off into the freezing currents of San Francisco Bay. Their bodies were never found, fueling decades of escape theories. The case remains officially open, and Alcatraz, the escape-proof rock, finally lost. Every great prison escape is, in a strange way, a story about human ingenuity pushed to its absolute limit. These 10 breakouts span centuries, continents, and motives, from war to crime to sheer survival. Yet they share one thing: a refusal to accept the walls. They expose the uncomfortable truth that no cell, no matter how reinforced, is ever truly impenetrable. The most secure systems on Earth have all been beaten, sometimes by tunnels, sometimes by helicopters, and sometimes by nothing more than a block of carved wood. Behind every locked door, someone is always thinking about the other side. And that's the top 10 most daring prison breaks. If you enjoyed this countdown, subscribe to RankLens for more.